Good morning, Terrans. This is your favorite alien speaking on this Tuesday morning, June 5th, here in Georgia. And here is your favorite guy, Bubba. Hey, Bub. Yoo-hoo, Bub. Oh, he don't want to talk today. He's waiting for the squirrel. Anyway, I wanted to do a video today for my cohorts on you and do it in English so that you understand. And I'll call it Terrans. Operating in base 2 but thinking base 10. And so here it goes. Dear comrades and friends, this is another video to let you know about Terrans. And as you're doing your research with all the records, you will find that they are kind of an interesting species. Confusing, uh, and yeah, as I call them in their own language, pain in the ass. Uh, but interesting, not quite fascinating. They didn't get to that far. Interesting, I would say, to quote one of their favorite guys down here. Interesting. Anyway, and here's why. They based their profit system on base 10. They know about the bases, mathematical, but they operate on base 2 and they don't even know it. We operate on base 3 and 4, but they exclusively operate on base 2. And I'll give you an example of it, and I'm talking in their language of English because I want them to understand what I'm telling you. And the reason I say they operate on base 2 is, for instance, they have good and evil. Concepts that we gave up a long time ago, because there is no good and there is no evil. There's degree of one and a degree of the other. They also, or as their one group here called the Chinese calls it, yin and yang. And that's the root where I think everybody else got the good and evil part from. Anyway, and when they operated their technology, they operated under base 2. So, electricity off and on. Computers are binary, 0 and 1. They use the 2 also on their courtships and stuff. What they call marriage, which is what we call binding. And ours, what we call binding, and they call marriage, their definition of marriage is kind of, they threw religion into it. So it really skewed it up because they say, from death do us part. Yet there's very few that death do us part. They don't understand that with their life and their civilization the way it is going, and especially today in today's technology, uh, they don't understand what binding is. To put it in words that the humans would understand, I would say that they don't read the fine print on the contract when they say I do here, whereas we do where I come from. And binding is not, the number one thing in our planet, because we have other type of relationships, which they are just starting to have here, and it's causing a lot of social upheavals. We had that way even before 1,000 years ago. I mean, this is like 3,000 years for us that we got used to it by the time, even our ancestral planet had gotten over that. But they haven't here. Anyway, that's one of the things they got. Uh, Number 2 is their justice system, what they call justice, uh, is also binary and adversarial, which makes it very precarious for the people involved, because win or lose is not the way you do a justice system. And they also operate under profit. So if you have the means, or as they call it down here, money, you're going to beat the system. That part is terrible. We got rid of that system 1,000 years ago, and our system is a lot better for it. Is it perfect? No, but it's a lot better than the Terrans. And then they use incarceration. Yeah, like our ancestors used to do. Remember they built the walls, these buildings with walls in them, and put the people in there and forget about them. And then they had other people that's supposed to be watching them, and they were taking advantage, and all kinds of stuff went on in there. Well, that's what happens here. It's not like what we have incarceration today for the crime that we have. And by the way, our crime is 1/100th of a percent, because if you take our population of 6 billion, our crime is 1/100th% of theirs. But here, crime is rampant. I mean, take the United States, the biggest, most powerful empire on this planet, and they got, by their standards, and you know what a square mile is, so it's about 3,200,000 or something like that, 1,000 square miles worth of territory. They got 300 million in that territory, or about 315 million, I would say now, a population. And their incarceration rate is probably, maybe, what would you say? If you take the states and the federal government combined, because they got different systems, probably about 100,000. That's a lot of people incarcerated, but they don't understand that. Anyway, so that's part of the binary system they have. Also on binary, uh, they have the concept of eternal life based on their religious, which, it's either oblivion or eternal life. They don't like the second part, so they hang to the first. We don't even know what comes after life. And we've been around longer than they have. They don't understand that. Is there a supreme being? Heck, we haven't answered that question in 7,000 of their years. And they think that they're going to answer that faster than we will? And remember, there's civilizations older than us that are still asking that question. So I don't get the Terrans in that part. Anyway, uh, their military is binary. And their communications are binary. So when they're trying to communicate with, like if they tried to communicate with us, I mean, let me put it this way. You understand their history, so I'll put it this way. They're trying to be Samuel Morse communicating with Voyager 2 that they launched on Earth. So can you imagine if Voyager 2 right now, I would say, is just outside their solar system? And they're trying to communicate with that using telegraph from Samuel Morse era? They don't understand it. You can't communicate that way. And then they're trying to receive communications from people like us with radio telescopes. That went out, what, 2 millennia ago for us? They don't understand that they have to go to base 3, base 4, and base 5 to create subspace communications. That what would take years to get to another planet takes actually hours. But they don't know that yet. Anyway, I hope this answers your question a little bit of how binary they are. But let me know. And by the way, Terrence, I hope this answers some of your questions. Just go on writing your comments. You're getting better.